Hey guys, welcome back. We're about to give you a complete tour of our pasture turkey system you see behind us here. I'm Jason with Long Bottom Farm.
And I'm Addie.
This is my daughter, partner in crime. And behind us are about 50 turkeys that are living their best life on pasture. Let's get into it. Real quick, we have a newsletter, The Part-Time Farmer. This comes out every Sunday about 10 a.m. I talk about how to market your products on your farm, how to use social media and websites to grow your farm. I also talk about farming, raising cattle, chickens, pigs. We go through it all, and it's about building your farm business. Sign up now, and you also get a free PDF on how to use ChatGPT to write your social media, to write your newsletters, and to help write product descriptions for your products. This is free download for signing up for the newsletter. One newsletter every 1 to 2 weeks, no spam, I promise. Check it out. I think you'll get a lot of value in learning to grow your farm or homestead, and it's free. All right, back to the video. Now there are probably 100 different ways to raise turkeys on pasture. Inside shelters like we have, outside shelters, within netting fence. Then there's also different feeds, different timelines. This isn't the way to do it. This is our way to do it. And for us, it's worked great. So we're sharing it with you. And I think even if you don't use this system, you could probably take a few things away from it that'll help you on your farm. All right, let's dive in. So first, the heart of our operation is our mobile range coop. This is what we use to move our turkeys across pasture. One, it's on a steel frame. We made it in steel so that the bottom would be super heavy. And by it being heavy, it keeps the wind from, especially with this big tarp on it, from becoming a balloon and moving across the pasture. So that's the first thing, a heavy base. It's on skids. Then we used fence railing to make the hoops and essentially attached a tarp over those hoops. That's kind of the gist of the shelter. I'll link down below a 3-video series on how we built these from start to finish. It's got everything in it you'll need if you want to build something like this. And this has worked really great, not only for our turkeys, but also our broilers as well. We can hold about 50 turkeys in one of these, or about 300 broilers. Now we tend to dial those back a little bit because those are max numbers. So we're doing about 40 turkeys now, and we tend to do about 250 broilers at a time. And the cool thing about this is the turkeys are on pasture. They're eating on pasture. They have feeders that are hanging that we put non-GMO supplemental feed in. Again, these turkeys, pasture will help them a lot, but they've got to have supplemental feed as well. So we use a non-GMO supplemental feed. We have about 4 of those feeders in here that holds about 200 pounds. And then we have waters, these bell waters. These are great. We fill these buckets up. They empty right into the bell water. Ah! And there you go, watering system's done. So I don't have to go into water. I do all my watering right here from the outside. And it's just a really simple system. Again, we've been doing this for years, and over time you learn ways to improve on what you're doing, and that's what we've tried to do with this, is just improve, 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 so that we're reducing our labor, we're making it easier for us to do chores, or if we're hiring help, making it easy for them to do what we ask of them. Now, moving this is pretty easy. Addie, you want to tell them how we move it?
Yeah, the way we move it is there's just a little rope with a hook on it, and we just hook it up to our gator or our tractor.
That's it. We hook them up to those and we move them across, and it moves pretty easy, yeah? You think?
Yeah.
Yeah. And by doing that, we can give them fresh pasture every day. If it's raining, we may move them twice a day. It's really up to you. Depends on what your situation is, what's going on. But our goal is to keep them on fresh pasture. We're actually standing in the area where we just moved them from. And this works great because, one, keeps them on fresh pasture. They've always got bugs, grass, different things to eat. 2, we run our cattle through here. So by moving these turkeys across, we're actually fertilizing these pastures that then later on grow stuff for our cattle to eat. So that's really our system in a nutshell. In a nutshell. Pasture management and diet. So pasture management is pretty simple. We just move this every day, and that's the main thing. It's putting them on new pasture so that they'll have a better diet, and it's also fertilizing the pasture in the process. We're essentially turning the feed that we're buying into fertilizer for the pasture. This system is basically, they're contained within the mobile range coop, and that protects them. The reason we have them in there is because we have a ton of predators down here. The James River, which is a pretty major river in Virginia, is about 600 feet that way. There's bear, there are coyotes, there are mountain lions, just a lot of stuff here. And so for that reason, that's why we have them inside a shelter rather than just inside of an electric netting. Now that said, the shelter itself is within this electric netting you can kind of see running along here. And we do that again just as another barrier for anything that tries to come near here. We also use it occasionally. We actually have our cattle running in the pasture with these guys, and that keeps the cattle out of here and just keeps everybody where they need to be. For their diet, we move them on pasture. And what are they eating when they're moving on pasture?
Sunrise feed.
We use that. And what about when they're on just the pasture? What are they eating?
They normally eat all sorts of bugs
Mhm.
and grass
Mhm.
sometimes.
Yeah, and really whatever they can find. There's different forbs in here, flowers. They're not picky. And we think this really helps with, that's how you create a premium product, is because they're not only just getting, corn, soy, whatever diet that they do need a supplemental diet, but they're also getting a lot of extra stuff, the salad bar, if you will. That's why we move them every day. And then, as Addie said, we use Sunrise Feed. It's a non-GMO, it's a local meal here, well, about an hour and 15 minutes from us. They produce feed for livestock, so cattle, chickens, pigs, whatever you want really. And they do all non-GMO. They do a great job. So we've used them for years and super happy with their product. So that's the supplemental feed that we use. And that's essentially it for our feed and pasture management. Anything you want to add to that, Ads?
Yeah, and what the Sunrise feed is made of is mostly a lot of like veggies and stuff, like grass and mostly corn.
Yep, corn and soy are the two main things. You can get free options of those. Again, we opt for the non-GMO. I would love to use organic if that was an option. Just haven't been able to make it work. And a lot of times if you're not doing the corn and soy, they'll put peas and different things in. Again, it costs a lot more to do that. And just in order for us to keep being able to feed these birds and to run it as a business, we just haven't been able to make those numbers work. So the best we can do right now, that's what we do, non-GMO, and totally happy with that. Between that and the pasture, it's a way better product than you'll find in the store. Yep. Daily management, basically our daily management, I kind of already covered it, but it's pretty simple. Make sure they got feed, make sure they got water. We make sure we move them to a new pasture or a new area every day. We want to make sure that the electric fence is on at all times when we're not in here, that the door is shut. Essentially it. You run into little things like, you may be doing chores one day and your water will break. That's going to take a little extra time. I've had my hose rupture a couple times. We have a run of fence here, and we get to the end of the fence. Obviously, we've got to move the whole fencing, so that day will tend to take a little bit more as far as management. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward. We start these guys out as obviously baby chicks. We get through the male, and we raise them out for about 5 to 6 weeks in our brooder. That is where they can their feathers come in, they get big enough that they can then survive out here on pasture. Around the 5 or 6 week mark, that's when we put them into these mobile range coops, and then we raise them out for a total of 17 weeks. Usually around 17 weeks, that's when we go to the processor. Obviously at the processor, that's where they're turned into the final product. A couple things to know about that is that baby turkeys will do everything in their power to kill themselves. I'm not exaggerating. They will drown in waters. We had a bucket feeder that was big. It didn't have a top, and about 20 of them ended up inside of it. We lost a lot like that. You name it, they will find a way to do it. So you have to treat these guys literally like babies. You got to put little plug protectors in the sockets. You've got to get cords out of the way. They're just not great babies. And again, some of the learning curve on us, I totally admit. That said, once they get past the 3 week mark, they tend to be very hardy and really good to go at that point. We actually found raising them with some of our broiler chicks, sometimes we'll do some at the same time, that our mortality rates are much less when we do that. I don't know if it's just coincidence when we're doing it, or if the broilers just kind of teach them a little more what they need to do. But just something that's worked for us is if you're doing 2 batches, raise them at the same time, and we've had good luck with that. That's essentially our management and our timeline. Addie, is there anything you wanted to add? What's your favorite part about raising the turkeys?
How when they're babies, if you wiggle your finger, they'll just run up to it and try to eat it.
Try to eat it, right? They think it's dinner. They are very friendly. They can become really friendly towards you. Something else too, if you've raised broilers before, you may know that towards the end, broilers get kind of lazy. They'll sit at their feeders. They don't move well. These guys never get to that point. At least we've never had them at 17 weeks. They're moving, they're running up to you, they're very active. So that's one of my favorite parts about them, is just they're much more active. They have much more personality than the broilers do. All right, guys, we have done chores. We've went through how we do this turkey system. Leave any comments below. Are you raising turkeys? Do you do it differently? Share, because I hope that you're learning something from us from sharing this, but at the same time, I learn a ton from you guys when you leave comments below. And I appreciate that. So, leave comments below. And that's it. Thanks again for watching. And I guess one last question. Addie, do you think you're going to farm one day?
Yeah, probably.
Probably. There you go. All right, guys, we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.